Ahsoka is doing a very good job of soaking the House of Mouse when it comes to a massive budget with not much in the way of results. Now, we're not here to poo-poo your favorite show if you love Ahsoka. We're simply here to say that when it comes to holding on to subscribers or gaining new ones, for the price that Ahsoka costs, this is probably not an efficient way for Bob Iger and the rest of his crew to spend money. But how bad is it? Today, we're going to take a look at that and see what is it exactly that is causing Ahsoka to underperform, just as so many Star Wars pieces of content have underperformed in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video explaining entertainment and keeping all of you ahead of the culture curve. We love to do it. It is a great joy every single time you elect to join us and share your time with us. Today we're talking about Star Wars. And we hate to beat a dead horse, but, well, this horse continues to give a slight but muffled neigh every once in a while. Unfortunately, it's also audiences that continue to say nay to it. And that being that folks just don't want to tune into Star Wars the way they once did. Long gone are the days of The Force Awakens when audiences turned out en masse. Now it's Andor where, well, Lucasfilm is saying, at last, we've lost everyone. We've lost everyone. Is it as bad as Willow? No. But Ahsoka is certainly not turning out the numbers that they probably anticipated, hoped, and desired. It's even more dire when you consider the fact that Dave Filoni is behind this. And if Dave Filoni cannot stick the landing, then it's uncertain that he will get to take off and fly with that movie that he's supposed to be doing. What are the ramifications? Let's dive into it right now and discuss, is Dave Filoni in the hot seat and what can they do with Ahsoka? Folks, we need to get to our next topic, which is the issue of Ahsoka. And some of you out there think that this is a decent, okay kind of show. Others of you out there think that Ahsoka is really, really not good. I haven't heard anybody say that it's outstanding. Let's take a look at an article, though, by some unknown author over on Bounding Into Comics. It says,
Canadian. We're trying them out.
That's right. Former Canadian TV executive Paul Chatto roasts Ahsoka. Looks like Star Wars drained of all excitement, danger, emotion, and camaraderie. Former Canadian TV executive did not hold back his thoughts about the recently released episode of Star Wars Ahsoka. He blasted the series. By the way, you won't see anybody get blasted when it comes time for the Acolyte because there are no blasters allowed there. He blasted the series as something that looks like Star Wars, drained of all excitement, danger, emotion, and camaraderie. Chatto shared his thoughts on his YouTube channel where he prefaced the interview noting he would not be looking at the series from a canon perspective given Disney has made it clear they do not care. He said, I'm going to go clean sheet. The canon has been so busted in this dumpster fire called Disney Star Wars that I really don't care anymore. If Disney doesn't care about any rules, then why should I? And it goes on to talk about Chatto's perspective about this series, I guess. We've seen 2 episodes, so fair enough to call it a series, not just an episode. But yeah, I'm feeling very similarly to Paul. I started off thinking that this wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't good. But after giving it some thought, I'm beginning to move more towards this not being good at all, and that comes from my conversation with Lauren Connor, of course, where we looked at the timeline, and we can't figure out how these characters are the ages they are or how they're acting the way they are given any of this timeline. And it seems like Dave Filoni himself doesn't understand the characters he created. It's very, very strange. Let's turn to the panel for insight into this. And I would say that top of mind right now, given where Disney is at with their stock, do you all think that Ahsoka might be able to pull in new subs or hold on to old subs, or is this just an exercise in nothingness? We'll start with John. It's your article, young John.
Yeah, so I don't think that they're probably going to be pulling in any subs on Ahsoka. I mean, I think we saw, I mean, you guys point this out all the time, that they were losing subs when The Mandalorian came out. And that's basically been their flagship show. So I don't think that Ahsoka is going to be bringing in any people. Ahsoka, as much as like Star Wars fans know her, she's still a niche character from a animated show. I don't think she's been really well introduced to the vast majority of Star Wars fans that might just watch the theatrical releases. Yeah, she did have some cameos in The Mandalorian, and I think Book of Boba Fett as well. But she's still not like a very well-known character outside of people who have watched those animated shows. As far as your Dave Filoni not respecting his own canon, he's been very clear about that. He's made comments about that. I think the most clear he was on that was at Star Wars Celebration. He was speaking to Screen Rant, where he basically said people get tied up on canon and they should just sit back and enjoy a good story. And to me, that's just absolutely insulting, because if you're telling a story within a certain universe, and these characters have already done certain things, you know that they've done certain things, there's a timeline to it, you would have to respect that. And he's just like, nah, you can just ignore that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter, I'm changing what happened here, just sit back and enjoy this slop that I'm going to give you, and hope that and I'll enjoy your dollars as you just get like your face stuck with the screen because it's Star Wars or whatever. So the guy doesn't have any respect for Star Wars. He's made that abundantly clear in a number of interviews and comments that he's made.
John, I've come up with an idea. I think that Dave Filoni is guilty of what I am calling the Filoni frame. And what I'm talking about by that is, I've noticed now that in every live action episode and show that Dave Filoni has been featured in, that he's been a part of, that the characters inside these shows are kind of like video game NPCs. They're sitting there doing absolutely nothing, and their lives have nothing in them until the show interacts with them. So let me give you an example. This goes back into The Mandalorian. Bo-Katan, what does she do when she's not being interacted with by the show? She sits in a
on the
concrete recliner and does nothing in an empty building.
Yep.
And then you come in and you interact with her. It's like Skyrim characters, right? They're frozen in time doing nothing. What happens here? Okay, Sabine, what is she doing? She is constantly sitting and watching a hologram that talks to her about what was happening 13, 15, 16 years ago, because she is frozen in place. And she doesn't begin interacting until the camera pans into her location. And it's the same way with all of these characters. There is never a scene where Dave Filoni's show enters into the scene and something is happening as the camera pans in. These people are not doing anything, and it is the laziest form of writing. Do you find anything, what should we say, lackadaisical about that? Or do you think that there's something else that I'm missing about Dave Filoni, even beyond just this horrendous live action storytelling?
For me, he's not a very good storyteller. I think he might have told some decent stories in the Clone Wars and Rebels that kind of would stand alone. There was one where they actually escaped Lothal that I thought was decent, but for all of his live action stuff, including The Mandalorian, I think it's been subpar. I went back and watched our first review of The Mandalorian, first episode, and we were talking about how it was what you're saying now. You were describing it as basically an RPG, and how he was just getting the new gear. He's got he was following a quest line to get the new gear, get the new things, and that seems to be how they tell the stories now in the new Star Wars. And then as for this, so I'll be honest, I haven't watched the new Ahsoka series. I polled our Twitter followers. And
thank you so much for being nice to us.
63% said we shouldn't actually watch it and subject ourselves to it. Said no.
But
from what I've seen, obviously I've watched some people's reviews. We're talking about Paul's, and I watched Raging Rhino and Script Trooper. And they basically said that, to me, the way they describe the show, it reads very similar to the plot of The Force Awakens. Got to find a map to find the guy. And it's like, well, what? That doesn't even make any sense to me. How did they create a map for a guy who was literally teleported by a bunch of space whales into who knows where? Did he
John,
know he was going to get teleported?
John, you don't understand
you
don't understand the magnitude of Dave Filoni's awesomeness. It's totally different than The Force Awakens, because in this one, in The Force Awakens, the map is taking them to the good guy who's not actually good anymore because he tried to kill his nephew for no good reason. Okay.
Yeah.
And in this one, they're trying to find the map so they can go find the bad guy who is definitely a bad guy. It's totally different, okay? They're trying to find... Oh my gosh, you don't understand Star Wars.
And they did that in Rise of Skywalker 2 with the stupid holocron thing. It was like, that leads you to the Emperor, wherever he is.
That one was not the same either, because the Emperor doesn't have blue skin and Thrawn does. You're so lame. Oh my gosh.
I completely forgot that part 3 was all about a map again, and they had a dagger that was a map leading to that map.
The dagger unlocks the map. Yeah.
Oh, why are you reminding me of this nightmare?
Oh my goodness.
Expecting Ahsoka to say,
I'm sorry, Mags.
I tried to blot this out. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, at least we can all enjoy blue milk, though, right? We all.
Oh, now thank you. Okay.
No,
so glad that was included.
It's the green juice from the alien creatures,
which is actually just
PC.
fruity pebble flavored. If you go to the parks, I don't recommend.
I'm not talking about the blue milk on Tatooine. I'm talking about the nasty juice you drank in Last Jedi. From the creature's chest.
Chesticle area?
You mean the alien cow?
Yeah, the stuff they sell at the parks is supposed to be that.
The space sea cow.
Oh man.
Well, that was a yummy conversation. Well, let's head it over to who here has seen Ahsoka? Has anybody else seen Ahsoka?
I'm raising
Max,
my
tell
hand.
us in your opinion, maybe we're all wrong. Maybe this is actually going to be a show that pulls in subs. What do you think? Does it have any potential?
So in my working catching up on work, I had Ahsoka on the background, so I probably did not pay attention to it as much as I should have, but I did pick up on a few things that I thought were really weird. These 2 episodes are set almost because at the end of Rebels, there's that epilogue part where you see Ahsoka, see Sabine Wren, and everything else. These 2 episodes are basically set just before that last and final scene. That's something that I picked up on because I was like, where is this going? Where part of the timeline is this in? Because they're not even showing. I mean, they said in the title crawl kind of where it's been this specific time is set, but they don't say like so many years after the Battle of Yavin and all this other stuff. So it's kind of like it's hard to figure out where the timeline is. And there's definitely some changes in here that I think are going to tick off both Clone Wars and Rebels fans, because it just seems, where did the whole Sabine Wren has been training to be a Jedi and she's a Padawan to Ahsoka? No, I don't even recall any of that in Rebels.
Yeah, we don't understand it either.
I don't. That's something completely new. I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's why I'm talking about the time here. When did Ahsoka have that time? Because she fought Vader, and then she was out of the picture for a while, and then I don't know. It was just my brain was going crazy with this stuff, and him saying things like,
"Canon doesn't matter.
Canon doesn't matter. It's only if people wants to sit down for a good story." But I'm like, a good story has good continuity and canon for the audience to understand where time and consistency flow. And I don't think it's going to bring in any. I mean, there might be a little bump in subs or something out of, there's always going to be those types of people that are going to watch it out of curiosity or check in, and then they're going to check out. And these first 2 episodes, there might have been some kind of neat things in it, but that's not going to be enough to draw and hold on to an audience. The choreography is terrible. I think it's absolutely horrendous.
I think they're trying not to break lightsabers.
Well, and not only that, but they definitely put in cuts there to try to trick the eye as best as they can. But obviously the cutting and the editing was terrible too, because I could pick up some of the weird quirkiness of choreography. At least like the prequels, they were fantastic. There was fantastic choreography in those things, and it kept you engaged. This didn't. And then the whole part of Sabine getting stabbed.
Listen, Mags, she's not a man, and she wasn't on a bridge, okay? She gets to live.
I thought she was going to turn into one of those mod squad people and have some extra colors. I mean, I knew I knew
she'd have to have a Vespa then. She's not going slow. She cannot ride on the Vespas.
So, and that's another thing. So you have, gosh, this is so, I'm so bad with names, but then you had,
Shin Hati is the bad guy, the bad person that she plays.
Well, I'm trying to reference Book of Boba Fett, who is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Chick.
Ming-Na Wen.
Ming-Na Wen.
Ming-Na Wen. She gets sliced, so she gets modded, but Sabine Wren doesn't get modded. I'm confused here with this situation.
It was a piercing, okay? She got a little tummy piercing. She's good to go.
And not only that, but completely. I mean, I already knew Ahsoka's character as in her character herself definitely was changed in The Mandalorian. It's nowhere near the same character from Clone Wars and Rebels. But
right, who the heck is this character that Rosario Dawson is trying to play?
Sabine Wren wouldn't be this having this kind of attitude. Like, she kind of grew up in Rebels, and she wouldn't be reverting or regressing back to her former self.
But that's not a strong female, Mags. You know that.
Mags, let me throw a theory at you, and you tell me if I'm wrong.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be talking about it like right now. I'm fresh off
that's
of
what we're talking about.
You tell me what you think about this, Mags. I think that Dave Filoni watched Arcane, and I think that he likes Arcane, and I think he's chasing Arcane. And who cares about the characters and what they've been through? He's going to make a show where he has a orderly feminine character and he has a disorderly feminine character, and he wants that yin and yang that they've got in Arcane, and he's chasing after it. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not sure about that, but I don't think he should be anywhere near his own characters. I think they should be taken away from him because he clearly doesn't even, Ahsoka is his baby, and he's like giving her like multiple different personalities for one. And I'm just like, who is this character? This is not Ahsoka Tano. This is not how she would act. This is not even how Sabine acts. At least a little bit of Hera's character part, at least her actress seemed to emote a little bit more than the others. But it's so clunky, and at least visually speaking, you can tell that they put a lot of money into this. I mean, it looks really, really, like, as far as appearance, it looks really, really good. The problem is that I don't think it's going to be enough to hold an audience. There are going to be people who are going to watch this because there are, Ahsoka fans out there, and there are generations of different Star Wars fans, and I respect those who want to hold on to that era of Ahsoka Tano. I understand that, but I think the further that Dave Filoni keeps bringing up his characters, the more he's going to make his own fan base get angry at him, because people were already upset at how her design was in The Mandalorian, how she doesn't look like she's aged at all in terms of her Togruta
Tengu
headdress. The Tengu.
Wasn't there something with like the eyes too that Filoni was like, oh yeah, she has different eye colors now because this is a different Ahsoka. Yeah.
No. So he initially just wanted to have Rosario keep her brown eyes, not do any kind of contacts, but Rosario was like, no.
At least Rosario respects the character a little bit,
So she got him to do the contacts in that Mandalorian season 2 episode.
Good for her. I mean, to be like the man doesn't even respect his own characters, and you have an actress come in and say, no, I think we need to stick with the blue eyes. That's her original character.
Well, if he keeps it up, it's going to result in another smear campaign like happened against Henry Cavill and Jenna Ortega for doing the exact same thing.
That's probably why she only
Geralt would do this.
That's why I think she probably just fought that one battle so she can, at that time. But you're probably right, and it's so remarkable too with everything. Looking back into some of these character arcs of throughout Star Wars in general, as far as at Disney, no mention of Kanan at all. Hera's
so that answers your question as to why Ahsoka is training Sabine, though.
Well, hold on, and then where is Hera and Kanan's son? Like, where is he? He's like nowhere in the picture.
Well, I mean, those are great points. Those are great points, but I think it goes to this lessening of the opinion of many in the audience when it comes to Dave Filoni. So as we wrap up this conversation about Ahsoka, my final question for the panel is, is this a situation where Dave Filoni now could even lose the ability to be in charge of this Mandoverse movie? Could this fall that low, or do you think that Disney is all in on phony baloney Filoni?
I think they have such big egos, like his big cowboy hat, his faux cowboy hat, that that they don't really care. I mean, you can tell that the way at Star Wars Celebration and everything else in between, they do not care. They like walking on the graves of the original characters. They've already peed all over them, for the lack of better term. But it's just, they've already just walked and danced and spray painted and everything else in between on their graves. And then they're heading into this making this for themselves. They're not making this for an actual audience that was built in when Disney first bought it. They don't really care about us. That's the thing. They don't care at all. They're going to go headlong into it. I mean, I know KK has canceled some projects and everything, but I don't think they were major projects to begin with, because it didn't seem like there's a whole lot of heart into it to, like gung-ho-ness kind of thing going on. It's
for the record, are we just now asking this question if they care about us? I mean, I kind of figured out like 6 years ago.
I'm just reiterating and restating that, and that's the thing. Is that I don't think they really care. They're gonna drive this baby off the cliff and keep going into the deep blue sea. So it's just, I think they're going to go on with it. That's
how we've arrived at the stock price we have, I believe. All right, folks, the conversation here has come to a close. Did you enjoy it? Well, if you did, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. The conversation here has, well, it's ended, but the commentary begins. Drop a comment down below and let us know what you think. We cover your comments, we care, and we would love to read your thoughts. Don't forget that if you enjoy content such as this, the Pro Show is live every Thursday, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, but that's not all. After 48 hours, every Pro Show goes into the archives. You can still gain access to every single Pro Show, and we would love to let you know how to do that. You simply click on that cute little join button, and it's the price of a soda per month. We believe that it's excellent value. Well, folks, one thing that will always be value, whether or not you are a member or a subscriber or just a casual viewer, this has value. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.